It really was love at first sight. I remember distinctly the sound. I heard the pea gravel crunch under my tires when I pulled into the driveway, and some trees blocked the view of the house. And as I rounded and heard that pea gravel, I saw the house for the first time, and I felt like I was home. I had seen this house in my mind. Still to this day, 25 years later, if I'm away for a day or a month, when I hear the pea gravel, my heart rate slows. It's like my blood pressure drops, and I exhale and I'm home. I'm Barry Dixon.
I'm Will Thomas.
And you're here at Elway Hall, our home in the Virginia Piedmont. In 1907, Mrs. Spillman, the lady that the home was given to as a wedding present, loved the Pre-Raphaelite architects and writers and was influenced, I think, with certain symbolism. H.H. Richardson was the architect that worked on this. He had on his staff at the time when this was designed Stanford White. When I purchased the house, a local builder who builds estate homes had this penchant for buying older homes that were in disrepair and needed work. It was almost too new looking because it had these wonderful old bones, but everything was painted white, just builder white. They had fortunately left a lot of the wooden panel walls and things like that in the library and this old great hall. When I was sort of bringing it back, if you will, was celebrate and preserve the bones of the house. And I want it to be a modern lifestyle in the old shell that's compatible with what happened before. With an old house like this, a lot of people, and me included, feel more like stewards than owners. We don't possess the house, it possesses us.
We both agree that part of being great stewards is opening up the house to friends and charities and sharing it.
The Warrenton Hunt, which is a fox hunt, is the second oldest hunt in the United States. Like we've tried to modernize here at Elway and roll with the times, it's a no-kill hunt.
When guests come and they see the hunt, they often feel like they're seeing a painting come to life. And when you see the hunters in their scarlet or pink coats and you see the hounds, you think, is this a painting? Is this Downton Abbey? But it is alive and well.
I think what any home sees through its window eyes needs to be brought inside. That outside-in thing isn't new with me. It's just, I think, a tenet of good design. It's wonderful for me to wake up in our bedroom here. We wake up with that panoramic view of the rolling Virginia hills of Fauquier County. I can't tell you how many herds of deer that I've watched.
We always talk about how we love the simplicity of the landscape, and then you enter this design space that's so layered. I think it's a great juxtaposition. I would say right now in the fall with this weather, one of the most enjoyable things we do at Elway is to sit out on the loggia. And I have some music piping out there and we'll have our coffees or maybe some breakfast, and it's just great. We're out there 2-3 hours and don't realize where did the day go.
What I like to think is that it feels worldly and hospitable. Those are primary things for me. I had kind of a peripatetic childhood. My father's position with an international firm required us to live all over the world. Different world-class designers would have the home ready for us when we got there. I remember moving to Noumea, New Caledonia, and David Hicks had put this home together for us fairly quickly. A David Hicks pattern on the walls, the ceiling, perfectly ran into the pattern. It was a run-on with the draperies. Waking up in bed and looking up at the ceiling and looking at all the pattern and thinking, this is a good thing. It's a trick I use to this day. The thought of creating like a little private, lush treasure box of a room with upholstered walls and ceiling and drapery, maybe all in one pattern. I do it often. I've done it here at Elway Hall, and I've done it for multiple clients all over the world. That lifestyle, moving from country to country, continent to continent, with different homes and different styles, I think subliminally I was becoming a designer, didn't know it. You'd bring things with you, you'd leave certain things behind, and you would brindle them into the interior of the next place. It's sort of a global crazy quilt of aesthetic that you learn to layer one on the other. I think that's why, as I started to design Elway Hall, it wasn't challenging. I wasn't daunted by the thought of bringing life and comfort and intimacy, even within those large spaces, because we'd seen that so many times in these other homes that we had the good fortune of experiencing as we were growing up.
Southern hospitality to me is about making people feel comfortable and making people feel at home and anticipating their needs.
It's also making everyone feel comfortable in intimate spaces. They feel comfortable to have a drink and put it down anywhere. I don't think coasters belong in any home. If we're too worried about a surface, more worried about that than the conversation we're having, that's not hospitable. That's not hospitable.
Bless you, Dinah.
Bless you, bless you. It's small things like that, though, that I really think of, certainly for my own home, and that I try to impart for the clients that we're working for. There's really nothing off limits in the home. We don't try to protect anything. The dog can sleep on any chair in the house. Kids can come in and go into any room. We don't worry. We serve red wine at every party. There's nothing off limits. I don't love smoking, but I never say you can't smoke because that seems inhospitable. Thank you. I think a hallmark of good design is that someone walks into your home and they realize who lives there, that the home resonates with the homeowners. What would come across when people come into our own home is that we're maximalist than minimalist, and he's more minimalist than I. So I think part of that has been the fresh air that's wafted through these halls. The feel of the home now is a layered mix of worldly elements, old and new, things that we find some connectivity one to the other to make it collage and melange into a single thought. It works as a whole, but then there are individual things that are considered as it's put together. I think we've quilted this house into place. We put a lot of work into the house, but it's given back to us. In a way, it's given us our past because we have so many incredible memories here. Our present, because we're living in the present day in this and enjoying it daily. And our future, because we're planning for things we're going to do. I've now lived here so long, too, that it makes me feel like I'm still connected, that I've shared so much life here with friends and family that may not be here any longer, that I still feel connected to them, and that makes it even more special for me.